Namu is the primordial existence, the dark deep from which all stars and elements originate. In the earliest records of the Nile Valley, specifically within the Taseti and Nabta Playa traditions, she exists as the self-begotten source. She is not a companion to another. She is the entirety of the potentiality that preceded the physical sun. Before the introduction of phallic-centered ideologies, the black woman was recognized as the sole progenitor of the human race. This biological reality, known as parthenogenesis in its spiritual form, posits that the original creative force required no external male seed to spark the flame of life. Namu embodies this self-sustaining power, a biological and spiritual truth etched into the very stones of the Saharan megaliths. In the Nakata periods of early Kemet, figurines of the sacred woman were crafted with upraised arms, mimicking the crescent of the moon and the horns of the celestial cow. These were not mere idols as later interpretations would suggest, but biological markers of the matrilineal line. They represent the internal spark of creation that resides within the feminine vessel, independent of any male presence. The firmament itself is the skin of Namu. It serves as a matriarchal refuge, a protective layer that cradles the earth. In this cosmology, the sky is not a vacuum, but a fluid, life-giving environment. It is the celestial womb that holds the stars, which are seen as the children of the first mother, scattered like jewels across her infinite dark body. When the patriarchal shift occurred, the historical record of the self-creating woman became a threat to the newly forming male-led hierarchies. To forge their own relevancy, these later structures systematically redefined the sacred feminine. What was once the divine mother was rebranded as a harlot or a Jezebel. This linguistic weaponization sought to silence the autonomy of the woman who needs no male to define her existence. Merioitic script and the inscriptions found in the temples of Napata and Kerma offer a glimpse into a time when the Kandakis, queens, held absolute spiritual and political authority. These women were the living representatives of Namu on earth. Their power was not derived from a male partner, but inherited through the blood of the mother, ensuring the continuity of the divine line. The replacement of vaginal worship with phallus worship was a calculated move to center the male contribution to life. By elevating the semen as the primary seed, the role of the woman was relegated to that of a mere field or vessel. This inverted the natural law seen in the earlier Taseti records, where the woman was the planter, the seed, and the harvest all in one. In the ruins of Kush, specifically the third phase of Meroe, the architecture reflects a focus on the feminine horizon. The placement of shrines aligns with the movements of the stars associated with the Great Mother. This is not a fictional construction but a sophisticated astronomical alignment that recognizes the black woman as the center of the cosmic clock. The idol label was a way to strip these figurines of their scientific and historical significance. When a statue of a black woman was called an idol, it was removed from the realm of history and placed into the realm of sin. This prevented the descendants of Namu from recognizing their own biological history as the first humans and the first innovators of spiritual systems. Parthenogenesis, in the spiritual context of Namu, refers to the ability to manifest reality through the will of the feminine spirit. This is the asexual power that recognizes a state of being that is complete in itself. It rejects the postulate that a woman is half of a whole, asserting instead that she is the whole from which the half was eventually derived. The firmament maps to the internal anatomy of the black woman. Just as the sky holds the waters of life, the womb holds the fluid of creation. This macrocosm-microcosm relationship was the foundation of Nile Valley spirituality. To look at the stars was to look at the ancestral DNA of the first mother, Namu, reflected in the night sky. In the Nabta Playa region, the stone circles provided a calendar for the seasons. This was the first library of the matriarchal society. It recorded the arrival of the rains and the cycles of the moon, which were synchronized with the biological cycles of the women. This harmony between the celestial and the biological is the hallmark of the original Namu-centered worldview. The erasure of Namu was achieved by introducing a male counterpart into her story. By creating a partner figure in later texts, the patriarchal scribes managed to split her power. They claimed that creation could only happen through their union, thereby forcing the male into a position of prevalency that he did not originally hold in the primordial record. This act of forging relevancy through the demand for semen worship created a spiritual imbalance. It led to the formation of secret societies, where men sought to replicate the creative powers of the woman through ritual. These societies aimed to keep the true history of the parthenogenetic mother hidden, replacing her with male-centered symbols like the obelisk. The term Jezebel was specifically used to target women who maintained their spiritual and sexual autonomy. In the context of Namu's legacy, such a woman is simply one who remembers she is a creator in her own right. The patriarchal fear of this power is what led to the violent descriptions found in religious texts, which sought to demonize the original matriarchal spirit. Kerma, the Black Kingdom, stands as a testament to the endurance of the Namu principle. The massive defufas, temples, were centers of communal life where the feminine principle was honored. There is no evidence of a dominant male deity in the earliest layers of these sites. Instead, the focus remains on the ancestral mother and the flow of the Nile. The Merioitic civilization was the final stronghold of this open matriarchal expression before the spread of patriarchal religions. The inscriptions here speak of the Lady of the South and the Mother of the Sun. These titles are direct descendants of the Namu name, carrying the weight of thousands of years of self-actualized feminine power. By removing the vocabulary that implies a finality of existence, we see the Namu cycle as one of constant replenishment. The return to the source is not an ending, but a reconfiguration of energy within the matriarchal refuge. The woman remains present. She simply merges back into the firmament from which she first emerged. The monster or beast labels were applied to the feminine primordial forces because they were untamable by the male ego. Namu represents the raw, unmanifested potential of the universe. To a system that requires control and hierarchy, the infinite and autonomous nature of the black woman appears monstrous because it cannot be contained. Reclaiming the name Namu is an act of restoring the original map of the human story. It is the recognition that the black woman is the firmament, the seed, and the creator. By looking back to Tesseti and the scripts of Meroe, the hidden history of the parthenogenetic mother is brought back into the light, revealing a legacy that was never truly lost, only obscured.